Today in bad news. Giants Eli Manning blasts child abuse while Jets running back Chris Johnson defends Adrian Peterson in beating of 4-year-old. Minnesota Vikings star Adrian Peterson has been indicted in the severe abuse of his child, who was beaten using a switch. Jets Johnson chalks it up to "That's kind of how we were brought up, our generation." Giants quarterback Eli Manning mixed disgust Wednesday with a plea for NFL players to put an end to domestic violence for the good of children like Adrian Peterson's beaten son and the league as a whole. "You hate to see a child being hurt. You don't like seeing those things or hearing about them," Manning said to reporters. "Try to go home and hug your own children. It makes you want to hopefully not put them in harm's way," said Manning, who has 2 small girls, ages 1 and 3, with his wife, Abby. "We can't accept that as players. We can't accept that from our teammates or around the league. Obviously the message is out there, you can't mess with domestic violence. Everybody should know that," he said, adding that the NFL can learn from this. The young dad's views stood in stark contrast to those of Peterson's mom, Bonita Jackson, who defended her son's tough love tactics Wednesday in her first interview since the scandal broke Friday. "When you whip those you love, it's not about abuse, but love," Jackson, 50, told the Houston Chronicle from her Texas home. "You want to make them understand that they did wrong." The 29-year-old Peterson wants to be a good father to all of his kids, his mom said. "I don't care what anybody says. Most of us disciplined our kids a little more than we meant sometimes. But we were only trying to prepare them for the real world," she told the Chronicle. At least one New York Jets player agreed more with Jackson than with Manning. Starting running back Chris Johnson said Peterson was only trying to help his 4-year-old by beating the boy with a stick, adding that both running backs were raised the same way. And Johnson, who signed with the Jets in the off-season, thinks there's no reason to end that kind of hands-on discipline. "That's kind of how we were brought up, our generation," the Jets star said Wednesday after Peterson was dropped by Nike and shelved indefinitely by the Minnesota Vikings. "We were brought up with belts, extension cords, switches, all that," Johnson continued. "I'm sure he had good intentions with disciplining his child, teaching his child what's right from wrong." Peterson was indicted after a whooping that left his preschooler with injuries to his back, buttocks, legs and scrotum. "I don't think it should change," Johnson said of Peterson's approach. "Everybody's got their own way on how they discipline their kids and how far they go with it." He was sidelined indefinitely as the Vikings responded Wednesday to a tsunami of criticism after initially announcing their plans to let Peterson suit up this weekend. But he will still get paid like a star, not a suspect. The NFL headliner will collect all of his $11.75 million contract while facing felony charges of child abuse. The former MVP running back won't miss a single weekly payment of nearly $700,000 after agreeing to a team ban from all activities, including this Sunday's showdown with the New Orleans Saints. The team's owners on Wednesday issued a public apology for fumbling the disciplinary action against Peterson. Peterson had planned to return to play after sitting out one game when the cruel details emerged last week about the beating in May and his felony indictment. But the Vikings called a quick audible after a backlash from fans. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, the United States Senator Al Franken D. Mint, and, more tellingly, team sponsors, including the Radisson hotel chain. Nike soon followed the Vikings in reversing field even faster than Peterson could manage during his 2,000-yard 2012 season. Nike in no way condones child abuse or domestic violence of any kind, and we have shared our concerns with the NFL, the global sporting goods business said of its multimillionaire endorser. "We have suspended our contract with Adrian Peterson. Anheuser-Busch, which signed the 6-year $1.2 billion sponsorship deal with the NFL in 2011, also expressed concern about the way the league dealt with the Peterson scandal. PepsiCo's CEO, Adrian Peterson, released a statement Wednesday urging the NFL to get its game together. "I am a mother, a wife, and a passionate football fan. I am deeply disturbed that the repugnant behavior of a few players, and the NFL's acknowledged mishandling of these issues is casting a cloud over the integrity of the league," she said. Just before News released her statement, news broke in Arizona that Jonathan Dwyer, an Arizona Cardinals player, was arrested Wednesday on allegations of beating his 27-year-old wife and throwing a shoe at their 18-month-old son. Peterson has also been forced to make room on the bench for fellow NFL bad boy Greg Hardy, the Pro Bowl defensive end for the Carolina Panthers. Hardy will continue to collect his $13.1 million salary, about $770,000 a week, while on the exempt/commissioner's permission list after his July 15 assault conviction for terrorizing a female friend. The 6'4", 270-pounder threatened to kill the woman during a heinous assault that ended with Hardy flinging her onto a sofa covered in weapons. His case is on appeal, with a trial set for November 27, and the 6'4", 270-pounder threatened to kill the woman during a heinous assault that ended with Hardy flinging her onto a sofa covered in weapons. His case is on appeal, with a trial set for November 27, and Hardy started the first 2 games of the season. Embattled NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell didn't poke his head above the sand as his league remains trapped in a public relations disaster. The black Cadillac SUV was seen leaving from Goodell's Bronxville, Westchester County, home around 7:30 a.m., shortly after the NFL approved the deal to sideline Peterson. The agreement to place the Minnesota Vikings star on pay leave had been announced in the middle of the night. Goodell, whose staggering $44 million salary last year dwarfed both the paychecks of Peterson and Hardy, has remained noticeably quiet as the NFL struggles with a huge image problem. The Vikings star became the 3rd athlete recently kicked to the curb by Nike, joining South African sprinter Oscar Pistorius, who killed his girlfriend on Valentine's Day 2013, and running back Ray Rice, who knocked his then-fiancée unconscious on February 15 in an Atlantic City elevator. Peterson's lawyer, Rusty Hardin, issued a statement Wednesday saying the ultimate decision in the high-profile case would come from a judge and jury,